My name's Maurita in Cavanough. I'm a Bundjalung woman from northern New South Wales. I have ties to Oracle, Dunghutti and Nyambul lands up that way. I've been an early childhood educator for 20 years. For the last sort of 19, 20 years I was an early childhood teacher, 10 years a director. I'm now working with Thryve New South Wales as a Senior Policy and Programs Officer to support Aboriginal early learning services across the state. Yeah, so my career journey started a long time ago, probably about 20 years ago. I was a young mum. I had my first daughter when I was 17, so I was a teenage mum. And my daughter attended an excellent preschool, and she had some language delays, and at the time, her being my first daughter, being a teenage mum, I had no idea what was going on with her, but I thought everything that she did was awesome. It was gold, she was the best thing on planet Earth, and she still is. But I didn't understand development, and so I had a lot of early childhood educators and teachers that sort of supported me during those first few years, and so that led on to me going on to do a few traineeships. So I did a Certificate 3 traineeship and then a diploma traineeship, and then I went on to do my early years teaching degree, and then other stuff. So that's it was a bit of a journey, and I think for myself I needed to sort of test the waters and build my confidence. My role as a director in an Aboriginal service has been one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done in my career, and I think I have been really privileged. I have been the one that has been really blessed to be given that opportunity to support staff members, community members, children and their families. And again, my passion comes from being a teenage mum, and so supporting parents in that space, and just coming alongside of them and working with them and with their child, just to make sure that I think the best feeling as an early childhood teacher is when you see your little ones go off to school and transition to school. It's a very sad thing, but it's also really rewarding. And you'll be in the shops and you'll be in other community events and they'll be yelling out, and it's just the best feeling in the world. Yeah, my new role in Thryve New South Wales is just the absolute dream job. It's just so amazing. I'm really passionate about building community capacity of early childhood educators, and just doing anything that we can to make our early years services accessible and culturally safe for community members. So the role at Thryve is just absolutely amazing. We get to work with Aboriginal controlled services across the state, and seeing firsthand day to day the impact that educators are having on the ground is so rewarding. But just the potential for that to be able to support educators and services, I really don't know how we can measure that. I think in terms of we're supporting services so that when we leave, they then have the capacity to go on and do what they can in their community. What I love about early childhood is that we are so aware of the importance of relationship and context, and I think that that's a strength that the early childhood or early learning sector has, just internationally and particularly in Australia. So I think that the number one way that we can all make sure that our services and our practices are culturally safe is that we are aware of our context and that we build strong relationships with our community. And I guess that happens on lots of different layers, and it can start with having an understanding historically about the context that that we all live and learn in, and understanding too that every part of the country is different. and just building relationships with families and understanding that we need to walk in partnership with that, families are the experts and they have so much knowledge to share, and if we can have an open heart, then that goes a long way to really building those safe spaces. Yeah, so I think, in my opinion, reconciliation, you can see reconciliation in action. When you walk into a physical space, you can see that in the things that are displayed, in the language that's put in text, documents, in the strategies that we use to engage community. I think that they're all tangible things that we can see and we can observe. And I also, but there's that relational stuff, right? So I think it's in the partnerships that we have and the meaningful ways that we engage community. What voices do we allow to be imparted into our practices and into our services, and how do we capture that and how do we share that? So there's lots of different layers in that piece, I think, and just even like engaging community. So it's not just our families and our children, but it's the wider Aboriginal community, First Nations community, the strategies that we have in place there. I think that they are all ways that we can capture how effective reconciliation is in our community. And I think that when reconciliation isn't happening in our community, it takes place in the form of disengagement with children and families participating in services. So if you have a large number of Aboriginal people in your community and they're not engaged in your service, then that's a good indicator that there are things that probably aren't best practice that are happening in that community. Best practices working with Aboriginal children and families and community would be, first of all, have no expectations on who is the expert. Challenge your thoughts around expertise. Challenge your thoughts about teacher-student perspective, and maybe look into what maybe Aboriginal leadership looks like, because I think where we go wrong in terms of different worldviews on practices and early childhood and relationships. And I guess Aboriginal perspectives aren't linear. There's no hierarchy. There is hierarchy, but there's hierarchy across lots of different people. So I guess for me, visually, when I'm thinking about perspectives, it would be that, like if you're engaging in an Aboriginal community, maybe think of things as circular. Maybe thinking about how things are interconnected, and about knowledge holders and how each person is a knowledge holder with different knowledge, and that there is no one expert, and that without those different people together, it's like a jigsaw puzzle and you're actually missing a piece. So if you can go into a community and think of it like that I'm a part of a puzzle or a beautiful masterpiece, and so are the community, the parents and the children, and that there needs to be a great connection with each other and an understanding, so that you can create like a better community that's more welcoming for Aboriginal children.